The first time a woman in white high heels tried to tell me how many cows I was allowed to own, I knew the world had officially lost its mind. I mean, you ever had someone show up on your ranch looking like they just stepped out of a perfume commercial, telling you your livestock smells too much? Yeah, that was the day I realized peace was over. Name's Amos Dexter. I run a 300-acre cattle ranch in Oklahoma, same land my granddad bought for almost nothing back during the Depression. He turned it into something real. My dad made it bigger. And me, I just try to keep it alive, same as they did. Never wanted trouble. Never went looking for fights. I had cows to feed, fences to mend, sunrises to watch. That was enough. Then Ridgewood Valley showed up. 2 years ago, developers bought the land next to mine and turned it into one of those picture-perfect suburbs. Fancy driveways, manicured lawns, people who think planting tomatoes in raised beds makes them pioneers. They wanted the countryside aesthetic without the countryside. No dust, no flies, definitely no smell. And with them came the HOA. At first I ignored it. Their little neighborhood had nothing to do with me. My land wasn't under their rules, and I figured they'd eventually learn that real farms don't run on scented candles and Instagram filters. Then the letters started coming. First one was polite. Fancy paper, embossed seal, all official. Asked if I could maybe keep fewer cows near the property line because the odor was impacting community enjoyment. I laughed so hard, I nearly choked on my coffee. Second letter wasn't so polite. Said my fencing didn't match the neighborhood aesthetic. Suggested wrought iron. Wrought iron on a cattle ranch. Third one complained about my tractor. Said heavy machinery should be limited to approved hours. That's when I stopped laughing. A few days later, I'm fixing a fence when this black SUV rolls up my gravel drive like it owns the place. Out steps this tall woman in a designer suit and spotless white heels. Not a speck of dust on her. She walks up smiling like she's about to sell me life insurance. Mr. Dexter, I presume. I lean on my fence post. That's me. She sticks out her hand. Sheila Frell, president of the Ridgewood Valley Homeowners Association. I didn't shake it, just nodded. She clears her throat, pulls her hand back, starts talking about compromise, about standards, about how my ranch is visible from the community. Then she finally says it, property values. There it was. Not the cows, not the roosters. Money. I told her plain. You moved next to a working ranch, and now you don't like how it smells. That's like buying a house by train tracks and complaining about noise. Her smile got tighter, colder. Then she laid it out. Move my livestock half a mile away. Replace my fence. Stop running tractors before 10 a.m. I didn't even think. Just said, not happening. That was the moment everything changed. I could see it in her eyes. That switch flipped. The smile vanished. In its place was something sharp and mean. If you refuse to cooperate, she said, we will take further action. I chuckled. Lady, your HOA means jack squat on my land. She looked at me like I'd slapped her, turned on those white heels and left. I remember watching the dust settle behind her SUV and thinking, well, hell's coming. And it did. 3 days later, county cops show up saying there's a complaint about unlicensed commercial activity. I show them my permits. They apologize. Turns out I'm not the only call they got. Same woman, multiple reports. Then zoning inspectors. Then agriculture officials claiming animal mistreatment. Every single time, clean records, clean ranch, wasted time. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about rules. It was about pressure, death by paperwork. Drown the old rancher in bureaucracy until he folds. Problem was they picked the wrong old rancher. One morning I walk out and see 2 HOA guys slapping bright orange violation stickers on my tractor like it's a parking ticket. I felt something inside me snap. I stormed over, told them they were trespassing. One of them, smug little board member named Greg, tried waving HOA bylaws in my face like scripture. So I called the sheriff. Watching deputies fine them for trespassing, I'll admit, that felt good. But it didn't last. Next day, I hear chainsaws. I run outside and see workers cutting down my oak trees, trees that have been standing longer than half that subdivision's bloodlines. They said Sheila told them the land was under HOA jurisdiction, said the trees were unsightly. Unsightly. That was the moment I stopped playing defense. I took photos, recorded everything, drove straight to my lawyer, filed a lawsuit the same day. For a little while it went quiet. No inspectors, no letters, no trespassers, just whined through the fields again. I thought maybe it was over. Then I found the fence. It was early morning, mist still hanging low over the pasture. I drive out to the northwest edge of my land, a part one don't visit much, and there it is. A brand new metal fence cutting off 2 acres like a surgical scar. And in the middle of it, a big, shiny sign. Property of Ridgewood Valley HOA. I just stood there staring. Could feel my jaw locking so tight it hurt. Then I noticed something worse. Construction crews pouring a foundation inside my land. I asked one of them what's going on. He says, casual as anything, summer house and pool. HOA annexed this section. Unclaimed land. Unclaimed. I didn't say another word. Just got in my truck and drove straight to my lawyer, hands shaking on the wheel. Jim Calloway looks at the photos and mutters, Jesus, they actually did it. He pulls out the deeds, the maps, runs his finger along the property lines and says, this is yours. No gray area. They straight up stole it. That's when he smiled, the kind of smile that makes you glad he's on your side. Next morning, we filed an emergency injunction. By noon, court order in hand. By afternoon, I'm back at that fence with 2 deputies and a piece of paper that might as well have been a lightning bolt. Construction stopped dead. And right on cue, Sheila comes storming down the dirt road, face red, pearls practically vibrating with rage. She starts shouting about mistakes and lawyers. Jim just waves the land deed in front of her like a victory flag. Deputies tell her she's illegally occupying private property. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. That was the turning point, the moment the war tilted. But the real satisfaction, that came later. Courtroom was packed the day of the hearing. Sheila showed up with an army of expensive suits. I wore my same old boots. Didn't need anything else. Jim laid it all out. Deeds, surveys, even emails proving they knew the land wasn't theirs. And the kicker? Construction receipts with Sheila's name approving her personal summer house. The judge, old, no-nonsense type, leaned forward and said, slow and clear, this was blatant land theft. You could hear the air leave the room. The ruling came down fast. HOA fined $300,000. Sheila forced to resign. Permanent order banning them from interfering with my ranch. Public apology required. Watching her sign that apology, I won't lie, that felt like breathing after being underwater. But here's the funny part, the twist nobody saw coming. A few weeks after the trial, people from Ridgewood Valley started showing up at my gate. Not with complaints, with cash. They wanted eggs, beef, produce. One evening, a guy in khakis comes up looking nervous, says most of them had no idea how far Sheila went. Says they were tired of her too. Then he asks if I'd consider running a farmer's market for the community. I laughed right in his face. Asked if they were ready for the smell of manure now. He just smiled and said, I think we're ready to learn. And you know what, I believed him. A year later, I'm standing on the porch of a little farm store we built near the old boundary line. Kids feeding goats. Families carrying baskets of fresh vegetables. People who once complained about my cows, now thanking me for keeping the land alive. Even the HOA changed. New president, retired rancher. First rule he passed, no more interference with agricultural land. And Sheila? Last I heard, she moved to Florida and joined another HOA. Only difference, now she's not the one in charge. Honestly, I can't think of a more poetic ending than that. Standing out there at sunset, looking over the same fields my granddad once walked, I realized something that stuck with me. Land teaches you things if you listen long enough. Teaches you patience. Teaches you stubbornness. Teaches you that some people see dirt and some people see roots. And here's the truth I learned the hard way. Power isn't loud. It doesn't wear designer suits or drive shiny SUVs. Real power is quiet. It's knowing what's yours. Standing your ground, even when it'd be easier to give in. And sometimes it's letting people destroy themselves, trying to control what they never understood. I didn't win because I was stronger. I won because I stayed. Stayed when they sent letters. Stayed when they sent cops. Stayed when they tried to take my land piece by piece. And in the end, that was enough. Now, every evening, when the sun drops low and the sky turns that deep Oklahoma gold, I lean on the same fence line and watch the cattle graze like nothing ever happened. Wind moves through the grass, slow and steady, like it always has. Some battles aren't about revenge. Some are about reminders. Reminders that not everything can be bought. Not everything can be managed by committee. And not everything bends just because someone wealthy decides it should. Still, I'll leave you with this. If someone tries to take a piece of your life, not with fists, but with rules, pressure, paperwork, how far would you go to hold the line? Would you fight it out like I did? Or would you walk away and call it peace? Because these days, I hear stories like mine more and more. Neighborhoods pushing out farms. People losing land that's been in their families for generations. So I'm curious, where do you think the line should be? Between community and control, between rules and freedom? And if you've ever had to stand your ground like that, against a system, a neighbor, or anyone who thought they could push you around, I'd honestly like to hear it.